It's the Monte Carlo of the DTM, the only city course in the calendar. Hello and a very warm welcome from the 4th DTM weekend of the season 2016. Welcome to Hankook TV. The Norisring, what a famous turf, and we took a closer look just at the beginning. We are actually standing at one of the signature spots at the Norisring, the Schöller S, the second part. The drivers come along here, try to take the apex and take as much speed as possible into the next straight. The problem is, there's a very famous wall. Sometimes they pass it, sometimes they hit it.
Turn 2 and turn 3 of the Norisring, called the Schöller S. Seem harmless and act the innocent, but the crane above and the gathering crowd and photographers point to its being a spectacular corner. And when the DTM cars start practicing, we can see why.
No, it depends on what happens in the middle of the corner. I mean, it's all about how you ride the bumps. Turn 2 is very bumpy on the braking. So it depends on how you get into turn 2, and that sets you up for turn 3. So it's nearly every lap different, and you need to judge it every time differently.
You go in, you think it's all under control, and the track changes. You get a crest, what we call a crest in the circuit, and suddenly the car's sliding and it starts to slide towards the wall, and you have this extra bit of like pavement, of walkway that you go onto, and it's more slippery there than the normal track. So you think you've got loads of space and suddenly you're really close and the car's sliding, so it takes a lot of getting used to, but once you get used to it, it's okay.
The highlight of the weekend is all about getting it right over the bumps, getting the car in the right position, and it's every time a fight, yeah.
It's really hard to know how close you are, I mean, until you're touching your wing mirrors, you don't really know how close you are to the wall, but yeah, it's a good fun corner,
But the fun corner stays unpredictable. Nearly every driver touches the wall, sooner or later.
Until this year, never. And then this weekend, already 3 times.
Chassis by chassis, car by car. It's the tightest pit lane in the whole DTM calendar here at the Norisring. It's even so tight that you meet a driver if you want to or not. And here is our news, who we met this weekend.
There is no space for trucks directly behind the pits. This area is packed with fans and mechanics, and the drivers go through here, so sometimes there's a chance to get an autograph. Guests in the Hankook hospitality, of course, get this in a more relaxed style. Here the drivers have time for the obligatory selfie as well. The first time in this season, 3 Hankook-supported racing series met at one event. Aside of the DTM, the European Formula 3 Championship and the Audi TT Cup show action on the track. Tight space in the paddock and a tight schedule for the Hankook engineers. The Norisring is without any doubt a highlight in the DTM calendar. Because of the special racetrack, because of the surroundings, and because of the enthusiastic fans here. Over the weekend, 123,000 spectators came to the Noris.
And now here he is, the best BMW driver so far in this DTM season, Marco WITTMANN, and he's also a homeboy. He's running on home turf. So Marco, tell me the feeling. How is it to run in front of your own people?
Yeah, it's definitely great. I mean, it's a special feeling to know that a lot of people are on the grandstands cheering for me, pushing me on the weekend, so it feels really good. Definitely you can feel the atmosphere, which is great at Norisring. To see all the people on the big grandstand, it's something special really. The fans coming so close to the racetrack, which is never the case on some other tracks. And then also to know that it's the only street circuit in our DTM calendar. It's something special. I really like it, and it's always nice to come to the Norisring.
The Norisring looks rather easy. Looks easy, but isn't easy. Why isn't it easy?
Yeah, because we have only four corners. It makes that quite special, quite difficult. We have hard braking points, hairpins. We need to go really close to the walls, and sometimes we even touch them or lose a mirror. And I think that is a challenge at the Norisring, really. The track is very short, so the field is even tighter as it is usual anyway. So it's tricky, it's tough, but I think at the end we all like it.
It's a lot of laps to go here. It's hot and humid. How much does it affect the tire work, the work with the tires? What can you tell us about that?
Well, I think especially as we do so many laps, always hard braking points, so you have always a lot of heat cycles on the tires as well, together with the brakes. And therefore you really need to look on your tires, especially on a long stint, on a Sunday's race for 60 minutes. You need to look after your tires, try to not overheat them, not to push too much, to have still on the end or at the end of the race the performance out of the tire to maybe push and attack some other drivers. But it's a good challenge to see all the different strategies, maybe a driving style, team strategy in terms of tire choice or pit stops. So I think will be an interesting race.
Almost everybody calls it the Monaco of the DTM, the Norisring, fourth venue in the calendar. With summerly temperatures, it is Christian Vittoris who starts from pole into this seventh race of the season. And he holds his lead and takes it through the first corner, which a little later creates spectacular photo subjects, when Matthias Ekström misjudges himself completely and clears away Robert Wickens and Vittoris, two Mercedes at one stroke. The Swede in his Audi brakes way too late and torpedoes both cars ahead of him. The curses of the two victims are not for the public. The consequence is the appearance of the safety car and a lot of frustration for Wickens and Vittoris. Ekström retires his car but is also lucky that he only gets a penalty of 3 places in the starting grid for Sunday. New leader now, Edoardo Mortara. Behind him, Jamie Green and Paul Di Resta, who can't manage to interfere into the battle ahead of him. Which means that on this day, the 14-year-long winning streak of Mercedes in Nürburgring comes to an end, as Mortara wins the race and earns his brand the long-desiderated victory on home ground. What a joyous day for Audi and for Edoardo Mortara. The Sunday at the Norisring, and actually it would have been Matthias Ekström standing on pole position, but because of his 3 starting places penalty, it's Tom Blomqvist who starts up front. Ideal premises for BMW and head of motorsports Jens Marquardt, who witnesses that the young Englishman keeps his lead at the start ahead of Audi driver Nico Müller and Paul Di Resta, Mercedes. 24 cars in the descent to the bottleneck Grundig corner, and also this time it doesn't proceed without points of contact. Ekström destroys his radiator and leaves Nürburgring completely pointless. In the meantime, the fight on top rampages. Time and time again, Müller tries to overtake his opponent in front of him, but Blomqvist knows the right answer every time. Then new Hankook slicks are up for grabs. Lucas Auers urged forward, until then fastest man in the field, gets stopped as his pit stop takes way too long, and so he finds himself in the tumult of the battle around Robert Wickens. Finally, the Austrian comes in 5th place. After the tire changes, it's Nico Müller who takes over the lead, a strategic masterpiece of his crew and the deciding moment in this 8th race of the season. The last spin at the Norris comes from TIMO Scheider, an Audi internal encounter with Mike Rockenfeller. A little later, Nico Müller crosses the finish line first. The debut victory for the Swiss in his 3rd DTM year and the frisk into the open arms of his mechanics. After the 2 races in Franconia, it's a Franconian who leads the championship now. Marco Wittmann, 75 points. Just like this, the speed weekend at the Norris is over. We had a lot of exciting races and I hope you liked our news as well. We move from Nürburgring to Zandvoort. Say goedemiddag in 3 weeks' time, and for now, goodbye.